To welcome in former federal prosecutor Larry Klayman. He's also the founder of Freedom Watch. And as always, we appreciate his time here on America Talks Live. Larry, first off, before I get into the potential of these other memos being released, as a prosecutor, you heard what Trey Gowdy had to say. So I want to hear what you had to say as a former prosecutor. What did you think of the GOP's memo?
I heard what both Gowdy said, and I heard what Leon Panetta said. And let me say, this is example of the Washington establishment. We just had the Super Bowl yesterday. My native team of Philadelphia Eagles won. I'm quite happy about that.
I bet.
But the Democrats and the Republicans, Miranda, are like the National Football League, the American Conference, the National Conference. The establishments of both parties want to bring this president down. Trey Gowdy took a dive on the Benghazi investigation. Trey Gowdy is leaving Congress to go back into private practice. He does not want to alienate the FBI. He wants to play the game because he's going to have clients to come in front of them again. That statement by Gowdy, I believe, is completely wrong because the fruit of the poisonous tree, it was that dossier that started the Russian collusion investigation. It triggered Mueller's investigation. And the president's absolutely right. It should be thrown out. Now, let me tell you about Panetta. I dealt with him back in the late 1990s. He was White House chief of staff. I had uncovered the Chinagate scandal, triggered it, the sale of seats on trade missions for campaign contributions to China and elsewhere. This then got bigger. We found out national security was being sold by the Clinton White House. Panetta, in a document that I uncovered, and in fact the court allowed me to start a criminal contempt proceeding against him, said we're slow rolling the response. We're obstructing justice. Now he's the Democrat side of this. And this is the Washington swamp. It's what President Trump has been trying to break up, what I've been trying to break up for decades. And they're the flip side of the same coin, Gowdy and Panetta. But in terms of what came out, that's a highly damaging memorandum. It deals with classified information. It should all be released. It shows you just how corrupt our Justice Department has become. And Rod Rosenstein, Miranda, should be fired. And Attorney General Sessions should step down. We need a new Attorney General. He's not in control of his own department because he's under investigation himself by Mueller, and he's put his head in the sand. He's worried that he might wind up being indicted for Russian collusion.
Wow, you covered a lot of ground there. But let me ask you, okay, so I got your take on this one memo, but again, the Democrats are supposedly going to vote on whether or not to release their version of this memo. That one's supposed to be about 10 pages long. And then I mentioned that Axios report that we could see even more memos from Republicans. As a prosecutor, do you think the public has the right and should see all of these memos to get a broad picture of what actually happened?
They should, Miranda. I'd say about 90% of all information that our so-called government classifies as classified is not classified. It's just a way to keep it from coming out. And what we need is a special counsel. I volunteered. We need somebody who's not part of the establishment, who doesn't want to be part of the establishment, someone who will do a thorough investigation and bring indictments if warranted. It's not going to happen inside of the Justice Department because the Justice Department is implicated in all of this wrongdoing. So you need an outside special counsel. And as he resigned, and on his way people in this country are scared today with these intelligence powers. I know I'm talking a lot, but there's a huge Orwellian sort of Damocles over everybody in Washington and everybody who challenges this government. And we know that from our whistleblower, Dennis Montgomery, who no one wants to listen to so far about this broader illegal surveillance. I had enjoined the NSA twice in the last few years. They continue to violate the law. The FBI collaborated with them in violating surveillance laws. And that's why Congress only goes so far. They love going on Fox News if you're the Republicans. They love going on CNN if they're the Democrats. But beyond that, it's a lot of noise. It's a kabuki theater. And we need a special counsel to bring indictments to actually get some justice here because we don't have justice and we have a runaway government who represents the establishment in Washington, D.C., and not the President of the United States or, frankly, the American people.
So you said we need another special counsel. You said Sessions should step down. You said Rosenstein should be fired. But Newsmax CEO Chris Ruddy seems to disagree with you. He said the president shouldn't fire Mueller or Rosenstein. Here's what he said.
president should wall himself off from this. None of the crimes that have been involved so far with Mueller involve his campaign or impact him. The president should stay away from it. If at the end of these prosecutions, the president feels some of these people have been mistreated or the investigations have been unfair, he can always exercise a pardon, just like Elder Bush did, Bush 43 did with the commutation of Scooter Libby.
So obviously you
Chris,
disagree. Go ahead. I want to get your reaction.
You know that. Chris is taking a more conventional approach here. I think this president has basically made his name, his reputation, and results in the last year on doing what needs to be done without regard to politics. And right now, the American people will understand that this guy Rosenstein is dirty, Miranda. He has wired everything. He's greased everything. He's an Obama holdover. At a minimum, he should go. And I also believe that Sessions should resign, because basically Sessions is worthless. He can do nothing because he himself is under investigation for alleged Russian collusion and obstruction of justice and firing Comey. And I know Chris agrees with me on that one too. But Chris is talking politically. Okay, yes, it would create a firestorm. But at this point, I don't think we can be timid. And I think we have to take a page from the president. Do what you think's right, and the American people will respect that in the end.
You think so? So you think it's worth the risk that he should fire him? He seemed to allude to that. As you know, over the weekend, he was responding to questions from the media. They asked him if, and I'm paraphrasing, if the president had lost confidence in Rosenstein. And he basically said, I'll let you figure that out, referring to the media. So based on that response, do you think he's actually going to pull the trigger on this and give Rosenstein his pink slip?
I hope he does. Look, Rosenstein, we know from the memo that came out, nobody's refuted it, 3 times went to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, knowing that the dossier was paid for by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, knowing that Christopher Steele, the spy that created that dossier for Fusion GPS, had false information, knowing that Bruce Orr, the head of the Organized Crime Task Force at the Justice Department, that his wife was working for Fusion GPS. This was all wired. Rosenstein should not only be fired, he should be indicted. And it's about time we hold people to justice. This is my alma mater, my proud alma mater, once proud. It's time that we hold justice accountable under the rule of law. And frankly, it's a cesspool right now, and someone needs to pay for what's been going on, because it's been going on. It went on in the Bundy case that we just won in Las Vegas. Information destroyed. Sharpshooters sent to the Bundy ranch, surrounding them like it was Waco. I mean, this Justice Department is more than the Department of Injustice. It's become a criminal enterprise in and of itself. So yes, Rosenstein should be fired, and frankly, he should be subject to investigation, indicted, tried, and I hope convicted.
Larry Klayman, always good to have you. Thanks for joining us here on America Talks Live. Okay, but the president isn't talking about Rosenstein on Twitter. No, instead he's going after Democrat Adam Schiff. What he's accusing him of doing coming up. And will he or won't he, will the president fire Robert Mueller or Rod Rosenstein? You heard what Larry Klayman had to say. He thinks that he should, that it's worth the political risk to do that. But Newsmax CEO Chris Ruddy says he doesn't think the president should do that. We're going to ask our panel what they think coming up right after the break. We'll be right back.